four friends sought a weekend escape in a 160-year-old farmhouse on Mellinger Town Road, Pennsylvania. Dean, Sam, Evan, and Calvin arrived expecting laughter, substances, and a break from their city lives. The red farmhouse, isolated amidst frost-covered fields, stood silent, its peeling paint and shuttered windows hiding a grim history. They came for fun, but the house had other plans. Whispers of a murderous past lingered in its creaky halls, waiting to ensnare them. This is the chilling tale of what happens when you disturb a place that refuses to forget. Dean's SUV rattled along the dirt road, the Pennsylvania countryside stretching endlessly around them. "We're off the beaten path now," he said, grinning at his three passengers. "My parents' old farmhouse. Perfect for a boys' weekend." Sam, the group's history enthusiast, leaned forward from the back seat. "You sure they're cool with us crashing here? This place looks haunted." Dean laughed. "Haunted? It's just old. They're trying to sell it, but good luck finding a buyer for a 160-year-old dump." Evan, slouched in the passenger seat, rubbed his temples. "I just need to forget work. Maybe not remember this weekend at all." He flashed a mischievous smile, pulling a bag of mushrooms from his backpack. Calvin, the quiet one, perked up. "You got the good stuff? I'm in." The group erupted in laughter, their voices drowning out the wind's faint howl. They reached the farmhouse, its looming silhouette stark against the dusk. Dean retrieved a key from under a pug-shaped statue by the back door, and they stepped inside. The air was musty, the floorboards creaking underfoot. The interior was a time capsule dusty furniture, a wood-burning furnace in the garage, and a kitchen stocked with beer and hot sauce. In the dining room, a faded portrait of a stern woman hung on the wall. Sam paused. "Who's she?" Dean shrugged. "Came with the house. My parents found it in the basement and liked it there." "Creepy," Calvin muttered, but the group moved on, claiming rooms and cracking open beers. Evan passed around the mushrooms, and the night kicked off in a haze of laughter, weed, and synth-pop music from a janitor Calvin knew at work. They toasted to freedom, oblivious to the house's watchful silence. Outside, frost glistened on the grass, and the stars burned cold. The fire crackled outside as the friends lounged, passing a joint under the ink-black sky. Sam, emboldened by the mushrooms, leaned forward, his eyes glinting. "All right, guys, you want to know why I begged Dean to bring us here?" Evan groaned. "Is this about ghosts again?" Sam smirked. "Hear me out. This house is over 160 years old, built by William Penn's grandson. He lived here with his wife and two daughters, but something went wrong. Really wrong." The group fell silent, the fire's shadows dancing on their faces. Sam continued. "No official record, but local stories say he killed his family, right here. Then he went to the basement and hung himself. Some say he wandered into the woods instead, but either way, he's gone. And so are they." Dean scoffed. "Small-town gossip, Sam. You're full of it." Calvin shifted uneasily. "No records? So, they're buried on the property or something?" Sam's eyes gleamed. "Exactly. That's why I want to do a ghost hunt. Tonight." Evan laughed nervously. "You're serious? A seance?" "Why not?" Sam said. "We're here, we're high. Let's see if the stories are true." Reluctantly, the group agreed, more for the thrill than belief. They headed inside, the house feeling colder, darker. In the living room, they formed a triangle on the floor, holding hands. Sam closed his eyes, his voice low. "We're here to connect with any spirits in this house. My name is Sam. I'm with Dean, Evan, and Calvin. Give us a sign of your presence." The room was silent, save for the wind's distant howl. Evan fidgeted, breaking the mood. "Guys, this is dumb. And where's my bag?" "I left it right here." Dean frowned. "It's probably upstairs. Chill." But unease settled over them. They abandoned the seance. But strange occurrences began. A screen door slammed shut despite no wind. Footsteps echoed from empty rooms. And the dining room portrait seemed to watch them with unblinking eyes. As they stumbled to bed, the house's creaks grew louder, like whispers of a restless past. Morning light filtered through grimy windows, casting long shadows. Dean and Calvin stumbled into the kitchen, hungover. "We crushed that bottle last night," Dean groaned. "Why did we do that?" Sam emerged, rubbing his neck. "Where's Evan?" "He's not in his room." Calvin frowned. "He was wasted. Probably passed out somewhere." They searched the house upstairs, downstairs, the basement. Nothing. Evan's bag sat untouched in the living room, its presence mocking their growing panic. Dean tried Evan's phone, but it went to voicemail. "No signal out here." "Great." Calvin suggested checking town. Maybe he wandered to the gas station. Dean and Sam drove to the only open business, a dusty filling station run by a grizzled old man. "Curly hair? Tall guy?" the man said, scratching his chin. "Ain't seen nobody like that. I'm the only one here, and I'd know." Disheartened, they returned to the farmhouse. Calvin, who'd stayed behind, was pale. "Guys, you hear that?" he whispered, pointing to the dining room. The portrait lay shattered on the floor. Dean's voice hardened. "Could have been anything. A draft." Sam's eyes narrowed. "Or Evan. Maybe he's messing with us." But the search continued, and the house grew oppressive. The furnace roared louder than it should, and the basement door creaked open on its own. Calvin, frantic, insisted they check the basement again. He descended the dark stairs, his flashlight beam trembling. It caught something, a figure hanging from a beam. Calvin screamed, stumbling back. "He's dead! Evan's dead! He's hanging down there!" Dean and Sam rushed down, their faces draining of color. Evan's body swayed, a noose around his neck, the stench of death thick. Dean's voice cracked. "Why would he do this?" Sam, trembling, called the police, but the signal was spotty. The operator confirmed they'd send someone for the deceased, but couldn't process Calvin's disappearance yet. "Call back at 6 a.m., she said coldly. As they waited, Calvin vanished. One moment, he was pacing the living room. The next, he was gone. Dean and Sam searched frantically, but the house mocked. Them doors slammed, lights flickered, and a child's laughter echoed from nowhere. They armed themselves with an axe from the garage, checking every room. In the woods behind the house, they found Calvin, his neck broken, eyes wide with terror. Dean's hands shook. "This isn't right. Something's wrong with this house." Sam's voice was hoarse. "It's Penn's grandson. He's still here." Their car wouldn't start, the battery dead, the keys inexplicably missing. Stranded, Sam's voice broke. "We can't stay here. The house is doing this." Dean, gripping the axe, nodded. "There's a house down the road. We'll find help." They trekked through the freezing night, but the neighboring house was dark, abandoned. Defeated, they faced the truth. They had to return to the farmhouse and wait for the police. Inside, the air was thick with dread. The dining room portrait was back on the wall, unbroken, the woman's eyes following them. Sam, desperate, suggested another seance. "If there's a spirit, maybe we can reason with it. Find out what it wants." Dean, at his breaking point, agreed. They sat in the living room, the axe between them. Sam chanted, "We know you're here. William Penn's grandson, or whoever you are. Tell us what you want." The temperature plummeted. The lights flickered, then died. A guttural voice whispered, "You shouldn't have come." Shadows moved in the corners, forming vague shapes, a man, a woman, two small girls. Sam's eyes widened. "It's them, the family." The shadows closed in, and Dean swung the axe wildly, shouting, "Leave us alone!" A deafening crash, the basement door flew open. The shadows vanished, but the voice lingered. "Find us!" Against their better judgment, Dean and Sam descended into the basement. Behind a false wall, they found 4 small, unmarked graves, the family, buried in secret, never laid to rest. Sam's voice trembled. "He killed them and hid them here. They're trapped." Dean, clutching the axe, decided, "We burn it, all of it." They doused the basement with gasoline from the garage and lit a match. Flames engulfed the house, the shadows screaming a sound of release, not anger. Dean and Sam stumbled outside, collapsing in the frost-covered grass as the farmhouse burned. Police sirens wailed in the distance as a car approached, its lights cutting through the smoke. Dean and Sam, battered and haunted, sat in a quiet room years later, recounting their story. Dean spoke first. "We told the police everything. They didn't believe the ghost part, but they couldn't explain Evan or Calvin either. Official report says Evan took his own life, and Calvin, an accident." Sam added, "I still see them in dreams. The family. They're at peace, I think, but I'll never go back to Mellinger Town Road." The charred remains of the farmhouse stood overgrown with weeds, a faint whisper on the wind. The truth of Mellinger Town Road may never be known. Was it madness, grief, or something darker? Some places hold their secrets forever, their stories lingering in the frost, the shadows, and the silence.